Welcome to Family Focus. I'm Joyce Johnson, CEO of Johnson & Olson Communications. My guest today, welcome back. They are from the Munroe Falls Paranormal Society. Probably becoming quickly my favorite guest because they have a lot of interesting and updated material every time we do this program. Eric Haney, Scott Wells, Robin Vaughn, thank you again for coming back to our show. And I guess we want to start with the new stuff.
Okay.
And you brought all kinds of stuff here. I was just telling Scott Wells, you bring more items than Bob the Builder does. But this is not even everything, is my understanding.
Oh, no, there's a lot more. This is just some of the basic tools that we use during our investigations.
And that's just it. You do paranormal investigations. And again, for people that did not get a chance to see the other shows, tell us what you do, your organization.
Well, I mean, what we do is we look into the claims of paranormal in residential homes, businesses, historical facilities, and such. And we try to help homeowners with some of these problems that they are experiencing. They don't know where else to turn to. In some of the commercial and historical facilities, we try to document some of that paranormal activity that occurs. And it really helps with the study of the paranormal, and it helps the paranormal community understand what's going on in some of these areas a little bit more.
Now, recently, you've been doing this Akron Civic Theater, and all of you had the pleasure of going in there. Scott, what was your experience there?
Oh, that one, I actually saw an apparition on that one. I had been sitting on the stage, and I looked up into the balcony and saw the figure of a person go walking across one of the aisleways there. You could see the head, the arm, the way the arms would swing at the side, and it took a couple steps across the aisleway and then just kind of vanished. So,
how about you, Robin? What did you see?
Oh, I was actually sitting
in the bar area, and she was asking.
Stage area, and just randomly snapping pictures. And right through the viewfinder, I saw what looked like a man, more dark than anything, but walked right across stage. And at that very moment, my flash was
of course
resetting, and I couldn't get it. So
now Eric, you were there also. We have a clip from that evening.
Right.
Is that correct? Can we go to that clip? Can we show the clip now? And Eric will describe, I guess, what we're going to be seeing. This was at the Akron Civic Theater. It's
Correct.
my understanding. So you did have some cameras rolling there. Okay, what are we looking at?
Okay, this is, well, go ahead and watch this and I'll explain after. The second EVP we captured in that sequence was actually a little louder and clearer than the first one. That one actually stated something that we believe it says, lights, cuts the night.
I get really dizzy over here.
If you were to class it, it would probably class as a Class A EVP.
I get really dizzy over here.
I was sitting.
Okay. So what did we see just now?
Well, basically, this was a clip from the TV show that we do. It's called Mysterious Midwest, and that can actually be seen now on Time Warner Channel 501 on demand throughout Northeast Ohio. Anyhow, what you saw here was an EVP, actually two EVPs that we captured in succession. Jennifer was doing some work, EVP work, and investigating up in the area where the old janitor was supposedly still haunts the place. And she was talking to him and trying to get a little bit of a response out of him. And during that period of time, she started feeling dizzy and weak. And what happened is we got two EVPs. We got one that states, "Where are you?" and another one that says very, very clear, light cuts the night. And it was very, very interesting because we not only had Jennifer have the dizziness at the time, which we do normally see with strong EVPs. We also picked up that EVP, and it was very clear. And it's hard to catch them that clear, but sometimes you do.
Light cuts the night.
Yeah, we think it may be some kind of a theatrical thing, possibly. We're still not sure.
You should Google it and find out.
We did.
I was looking up. The only thing I could find that would even resemble that was actually, I think, Shakespeare's Macbeth.
yes.
Yeah. So we think it may have been possibly an EVP from an old stagehand or someone, maybe even an actor or actress that was there, and he was citing something that they thought was appropriate at the time.
Now, in order to see a ghost, and sometimes, as you said, they walk right in front of you or you see them, but you do have specialized equipment, which I think on this program we're going to talk about that, because I know the last time we did, I wanted to know what you did to when you go into a home. What do you bring into a home? So you have some of this equipment. Maybe you can share with us what you use and how you use it.
Okay. Well, where do we start?
Well, let's right
we
in
have
front of you,
dozens.
work our way down
We have
here.
dozens of pieces of equipment. Well, let's start with the IR cameras. That over here, sitting on the table.
Okay. It's a camera.
Yeah, and that's one of our bigger IR cameras.
Okay.
And that camera right there has the ability to light up 175-foot radius in front of it, up to 175-foot area. We use these in some of the larger places like the Akron Civic and such that we do. It's a high-resolution camera, and we have several of these cameras that we connect to a DVR system, which records in real time all the different locations that we're monitoring. Okay. Now, on the table here, we have various pieces of equipment that we use.
Go ahead and hold them up so we can
Okay.
see. Yeah.
Well, this right here is what we call a tri-field natural EM meter. This meter is well suited for paranormal investigations because it blocks out natural man-made electromagnetic fields and only reads or measures natural EM fields.
Wow.
Okay, this will actually measure you walking by. It's very, very sensitive, and I can give you a quick demonstration here. Let it calibrate.
Now, when it goes all the way across, there's something going on.
There's something going on there, right?
Okay.
And if I put this down here and I adjust it,
Yeah.
okay, you see even just the movement there? See that?
Yes.
This will detect even a human walking through a wall on the other side of the wall. So if you end up, you're in a room and you end up having some type of entity present or trying to communicate with you,
Yeah.
this right here will actually, it will get spikes on that, and sometimes we'll get some very, very strange readings where it'll go up, stay there for a while, and then slowly come back down. Sometimes we can actually get responses, okay, to questions. We'll ask questions, and they'll interact with the device and give us kind of like a yes and no answer.
You know, it is sort of amazing when you think about it, because with some of these entities, they didn't have this technology. They must obviously be aware of what's going on and that someone is trying to communicate with them.
Well, I think what they do is when we set this stuff out in an array and we're doing an EVP session, we instruct them what to do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I don't think that if they're from another age, they may not understand what this is. So we tell them that don't fear this stuff, it won't hurt you, you know, this is what we need you to do, place your hand on it, and so on and so forth. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it does.
Now, Scott and Robin, have you found that to be true, where you've actually communicated with them and said, hey, don't be frightened of this stuff? Because have you
Yeah.
Well, that
any
goes back
experience?
to that
Absolutely.
flashlight too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The flashlight one. And a lot of times you'll find that some of the entities are interested in these things. They're curious about it. So they want to know what's going on. So you'll get these things where it'll look like, you know, something's just playing with them.
Yeah,
You know,
or playing
it's-
with you.
Or playing with
Playing
you.
with your
yes.
equipment. I mean, what else do they have to do? Think about it. You know, through all eternity, what else are they going to do?
Well, that's true. I mean, but I think when an entity or a spirit is trying to communicate, they really are trying to get a message across. And when they find that opportunity, they will do what is necessary to communicate
Okay.
within what they can.
Okay.
Now these are some of the newer tools that we use. We have many of these. They're what they call a MEL 8704. There's different versions of it. There's an R version. There's a standard 8704. This right here is got a K2 built into it.
What will that do?
Okay, these are multiple devices in one. What this is an EMF meter, okay? It is an ambient temperature sensor, which you see the K-type probe up here, okay? It also, this one has a vibration sensor in it, which is sensitive enough to pick up a cotton ball dropped on a table 6 foot away. Okay,
Yeah, you have to be.
and we use this, especially the vibration sensors. Is we'll place several of these in an area that is suspected, traffic, footsteps, movement of objects like beds and things, and we can monitor that with a camera and see if these things actually trigger. This right here, if you set down and once it calibrates, it can be set off just by voice alone. Okay. Yeah, and that's going to make a liar out of me.
No, it works. That little high-pitched noise.
But it basically, it takes about 10 seconds to calibrate, and then it becomes extremely sensitive.
Now, let's say you're going into a place like the Civic. Do you have one person doing audio? Do you have one person doing pictures? Do you have just different people planted in different rooms? How does that work? Do you just go to different places? Like weren't you in the dressing room at the Civic? Where were you? Or on the balcony?
I was everywhere at one time.
You were just everywhere?
Through the night.
Okay.
We switch off. There's teams and team leaders.
Yes.
And we kind of just go off and do what we're told and run what we have to
We
run.
usually have a plan before we go in.
Yeah. We have to going into big places.
Jennifer's our case manager, so she kind of lays out the plan with the groups, and we have Team A, Team B, and so on. And we kind of have a layout of the facility before we go in.
Yeah.
We do everything very professional, very organized. We just don't go in there and start hacking away at things, you know. We actually get a plan and have meetings and everything so that we make the best of that investigation.
What if you get scared?
Actually,
We've been doing this so much, I don't think we
you
get scared
used
anymore.
to it. Actually, when, for example, we just had an investigation at Northside Bar and Grill, and right down here in Akron.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. It's been a while since I've seen this, but
Okay,
I saw
tell me.
the apparition of a face of a guy looking over Mothy's shoulder, and he was gruff. He had long dark hair, and he had a mustache and a beard, and he stared right at me, and he was actually behind Mothy looking over his shoulder.
And I think I saw the same apparition.
Customer, disgruntled customer? Who's
No,
the
we
guy?
think it may have been someone from ages ago. We're still doing research.
Yeah.
The Northside Bar and Grill was one of the earliest saloons in the area. It actually ran a brothel for 35 years upstairs. The first floor was a saloon, and the cellar area was actually a gambling and a speakeasy.
It was Kavanaugh's.
And it used to be Kavanaugh's at the time. So there's been a lot of reports there, so they called us in to see if we can come up with anything. And
Can you say, who are you? And
Sometimes you get a response.
That's what these
yes,
devices
okay,
here
talk
are
about
for.
that. What does that do?
These are digital voice recorders, and we
Okay.
use these a lot during our investigations. These just are kind of like the old tape recorders. They just record any sounds or audio that's going on at any given time. And a lot of times we'll come back when we review these things, we will ask questions and leave pauses in there and wait for an answer as if somebody were going to speak to us. And then when we go back and listen to it, sometimes within those spaces in there, we actually will hear words and answers like the EVPs that we were listening to earlier here.
right, and for for someone that doesn't know, EVP stands for electronic voice phenomenon. Right. It's basically an electronically induced voice that appears on the recording that's not heard at the time that the investigators are doing that session.
Now, what is the device over there that looks like a little glue gun?
And these
What would that be?
These are infrared surface thermometers.
Okay.
These will be able to read a temperature of a surface from across the room. They do act a little like a gun. They have this trigger here, and we can just aim it there on the floor over there, and the floor over there is 66.2 degrees.
Right, and they have
Actually, it has a readout right here on there.
The temperature change seems to be very key with some of the paranormal activity. And I also heard that sometimes the paranormal, the ghost, they'll zap your energy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, they will.
They
pull
will
it.
zap your energy. How does that work?
He thinks he may have passed out for a minute or so on the
Couple
last
seconds.
investigation for
Yeah.
a couple of
Really?
seconds. We were doing an investigation out at the Ohio
Madison.
Cottage, or otherwise known as the Madison House,
Madison
or
Cemetery.
Madison Seminary, right? And it's in Madison, Ohio. Very, very big facility.
Very big.
We were at one area, it was probably about 1:30 in the morning, and we had some strange EMF activity, and you could feel the heaviness in the air. He started actually feeling the heaviness, and I'll let him go ahead and explain.
Yeah, I happened to be standing in the doorway while we were doing this EVP session. All of a sudden, I just started feeling really, really weak and a little bit dizzy and nauseous. So I actually sat down, and I sat down so I wouldn't fall down, actually. And then I just sat there for a few minutes and just felt like I couldn't move, couldn't do anything. I was just, and I think I may have actually just passed out for a couple seconds there.
What is the ghost doing to you?
They're drawing on your energy in order to accomplish something of their own, to make an EVP audible, or to move an object, to make a noise, something to get our attention. It's something that it will only happen for a few minutes. This was probably only a matter of about 5 minutes I was feeling like this, and really only a matter of about 2 or 3 seconds where I actually think I lost consciousness during that.
Now, you
But,
remember the EVP we saw earlier in the show, and you remember the comment Jennifer made? She was feeling dizzy and weak at the time, because to manifest a strong EVP like that, it's got to take energy from somewhere, and that's in the air, that's from you, could be from your devices too. We have what we call battery drain quite a bit, and at Madison, we have a lot of battery drain. About 7 different devices, batteries just tanked right away with brand new batteries.
very, very short.
Which makes you wonder, if someone is living in a haunted house, are they getting zapped? Is their energy being zapped every day?
We don't-
guess it
Or
would
no.
depend.
Yeah, it's possible, but would they notice it necessarily? Probably not. It's not something that is a constant drain.
Right.
It's usually something that only happens for a very limited period of time. That 5 minutes that I was feeling is probably the longest I think I've actually felt something like that.
And I think most of us in the field have felt that, and we expect it.
Well, I want to give the phone number. We get so involved that we forget to do some of these other things. You're watching Family Focus, and I'm Joyce Johnson. My guests today are from the Munroe Falls Paranormal Society. I'm going to give you their phone number, and then I'll give it again at the end of the show in case you'd like to reach them, 330-328-1215. And again, that number is 330-328-1215. If you were interested in this, or maybe you're living in a place where you say, I have seen dark shadows also, and you're not Barnabas Collins, you see dark shadows and something's going on, maybe give them a call if you'd like to be a part of this group, or maybe a part of these investigations. Really would be fascinating to do, and they'll teach you how to do it. Which brings me to my next question. Who teaches you this stuff? Where do you learn how to do this? There's no school for this, is there?
Well, actually, we do.
do?
We actually have our own course.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Training,
Training course that Scott and I have developed. Keep in mind that both of us have quite a few years of experience, 20 years plus experience. Both of us have been doing this for quite some time. Not as a group, but as individuals. Everybody that we do bring in has to go through 1 year of training, and that's both I'm going to have to say a classroom, but it's in-house and in the field training. We monitor them, we make sure they're doing things correctly, all the paperwork, make sure the equipment's all set up right, they know how to use the equipment, theory, all that. We go through quite an extensive course over that year.
I would think so. I would think you'd almost have to prepare somebody for this type of thing, because a normal person would freak out.
Yeah, and we see
really?
that with our new investigators sometimes
freak
too. Something
out.
happens, and
Jennifer,
Yeah. What's the worst thing? Have you been on investigations where it was sort of got
It's
botched?
not the dead
or
ones I
things
worry
didn't-
about. It's the live ones.
Yeah.
Good point.
Especially the seminary, Madison.
I was startled there a little bit, which we did an episode of our TV show Mysterious Midwest there also. So you'll see it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I had something thrown at me. down the hallway, and that startled me. I didn't
Yeah.
expect that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Scott actually heard it.
Yeah.
He was down the other side of the hall, and I turned, and I kind of maybe slipped and said something I shouldn't have.
And we all heard it.
But
And all your sensitive equipment picked it
Yeah.
up, probably.
Recorded for posterity now.
But I'll tell you what.
funny.
You know, when you have something, and it was a chunk of tile
Oh, yeah.
that was tossed at me, and
It was a chunk. I picked it up
It
and
was
tried
a
to
good-sized
recreate
chunk.
for him.
and it actually hit the floor and skipped. So it had some momentum to it, and you know, it's dark. It's quiet. We're in the psych ward, which is the violent criminal ward, where they held the more violent psychotic patients.
Oh, dear.
And it was a heavy feeling back there. It just wasn't. I wasn't feeling right back there. And I come down the hallway, and I was approaching the end of the hallway. I was by myself. We had one camera guy with me, and all of a sudden, it startled me. Something came out of the dark
yeah.
down there and just right toward me.
Now, what do you, as you're training people, what do you tell someone to do when that happens? I mean, aside from screaming at the top of your lungs like a banshee and
Actually,
running
we
out.
tell them not to scream like
No.
that.
No.
Oh, so
So-
you're not supposed to scream when that happens. What are you supposed to do?
Maintain.
You maintain.
Just try to maintain. You get
Kind of
so
detach
excited.
yourself from it and actually examine it objectively as
Do you
much
tell
as you
the
can.
ghost to stop?
No.
No.
We actually want them to do it more.
See, something happened to me and I screamed really loud, just like within a matter. I mean,
Yeah.
they really care because within a matter of like a half
They're
a second,
there.
everyone's like, who's screaming? Why? And I'm not going to say why.
Okay.
But I didn't run. He's like, did you run? I'm like, no, I didn't run. I just jumped up. No, I didn't run.
Yes.
I went up.
Well, what happened? Can I ask what happened that made you?
It
jump
was
up?
it was a live one. It wasn't a.
It was more of a practical joke.
And it just, you
That was a
know,
practical joke.
when
and
you're
at a
looking
ghost-
straight ahead, I was looking straight ahead. I couldn't see, and I'm trying to,
Oh,
you know.
dear. Yeah, that's
concentrate
no
on where I'm
time for
going.
practical jokes.
No,
is it?
we try to minimize that, and it only
Yes.
happens on rare occasions.
To the new
You
people.
have to because you know when you're there for
Hours and
8 hours or
Yes.
longer. Every
Yeah.
once in a great while, man, you got
it's-
to break up.
And it's really late at night, so you get a little bit slap happy towards the
little
end of the
loopy
night.
and
So.
right.
Well, for instance, would you sleep there?
No.
Who, me?
What if you
You'll
fall
Well, I
asleep?
mean,
Oh,
would we
sleep,
sleep
no.
Oh
there?
yeah,
If
we're
we
actually
had the
gonna be-
opportunity to.
We're doing
Sure.
it in February,
Just
actually.
sleep there. You just. but
Well,
you-
you might as well say we do because we really don't leave there till the sun comes up
Yeah,
most
we
times.
just don't lay down. Who wants to lay down
You're
when
up all
you have an
night.
opportunity to
Right.
do something?
Right.
But we'll go sit in a room at 3:00 in the morning and wait for it.
Every once in a
You
while,
know?
you'll pick up some heavy breathing, like that nice, calm,
Yep.
relaxed, sleepy.
See, another thing we
breathing.
do too is during our training, we actually have certain facilities in homes that people work with us on, and we'll take the newbies in there. I call them the newbies, and we'll take those trainees in there, and we'll actually create circumstances that are more realistic, and see how they react. Okay, keep in mind it's on the extreme side of realistic. But we want to videotape, right? So we'll set up cameras and everything. We'll test them. We'll see how they react, and then we'll say, okay, this is what you should have done. This is what you shouldn't have done. So we actually put people through those types of scenarios.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to be prepared. All right, now, as we talk about all this equipment, so most of this stuff would go with you
All of
on
it
your
does.
average.
Right, something
searching.
like this.
There's a handheld camera.
Right, this is
okay.
a high definition camera,
Okay.
okay? And we also use mini DV cameras too. We have quite a few of these. This is only a couple of them, okay? We'll carry these around with us, including instruments, voice recorders, and we'll have our static cameras like down there too. And those will all be running constantly so that we can document anything that does occur.
Where's your next place? Any planned visits? Anywhere over the holidays that you want to go?
We have
Check out?
a lot coming up.
Really?
Yeah, just to name a few, let's go down the list. Gettysburg, number one. We're doing Moundsville Penitentiary. We've got a bunch of residential private homes that are coming up. The Villisca Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa. Very famous. In 1927, a whole family plus 5 children were brutally murdered by 2 axemen. And they never found the people who did it.
No motive.
No. And it's famous. There's been many investigations there. The activity is just very, very high. We've got we've got several other facilities lined up, and we got a lot going on.
Well, let me ask you: in that house where they were killed by 2 men that they never found by a very violent death, what type of activities going on in the house? Do we hear children screaming?
Yes.
What do we hear?
Actually, there's Prism. I believe the name of the paranormal group that is in the area. They've been there about 7 times, and I think it's Prism Paranormal, I believe, is their name, and they've picked up some awesome EVPs there of children questioning their motives there, and actually stating and almost talking to one another, saying, "Is he here to hurt us?" And they're just absolutely clear as day. So. Oh my. Yeah, and they also pick up children in one children's bedroom. There's a closet door where they believe that they hide, and they have actually videotaped the door opening and closing on command when they ask the little kids to do it.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Do the children know they're dead?
We don't know. It's possible. They may not, though.
Now, I understand. Is there a way to get these ghosts to move on to the next life and to have peace?
Well, go ahead. I'll let you answer that.
Yeah.
There are ways you can communicate with them and actually try and urge them to go on and move on to whatever might be next. It's actually fairly difficult to do if they don't want to go. But in a lot of cases, especially when they're confused, they may not know what's expected of them or what they're supposed to do. So that may be why they're here in the first place. A lot of times in the case of an unexpected death or something like that, that can be the case, where a spirit doesn't realize it's dead because it doesn't remember dying, and so doesn't know, what to do, what it should go on.
Especially with children.
Yeah.
Well, we need to find out what happens with that. When are you going there?
That'll be in spring.
Take lots of pictures for this show. We're out of time.
Well,
Go ahead. One
more
quick thing. One quick thing. You have like a minute.
Okay.
A minute.
This, I wanted to let you know, this is an actually very interesting prototype that we're working on.
Okay.
We call it the EAR, electronic amplified receiver. This actually allows us to hear EMF, okay? And it has various filters in there, which allows us to filter out some of the noisy man-made EMF. Basically, in theory, we should be able to listen to EVPs in real time with this, okay? Now, I still got some more work to do to it, but we have used it with some interesting results on some investigations. And basically, you plug in a set of headphones. It does have an intermediate jack, which we can actually take to plug in other instruments to it. And then it's got the reed head here. So basically, allows you to hear electromagnetic fields. So.
Well, and I'm sure all of this equipment is going to go with you into that house. And boy, if you come back with tape of children screaming, I just don't know what I'll do. That would be absolutely, that's mortifying. It's just mortifying.
Well, it was a horrific crime that occurred.
I will have to look that up. What is the last name?
Villisca Axe Murder House. And they actually have a whole website dedicated to it.
In Idaho?
In Iowa.
Iowa. Okay, got it.
Villisca, Iowa. Yeah.
Okay, wow. Well, again, I just don't know how we can keep topping these shows. I just don't, time just flies when we are on these shows. But I want to again thank my guests and give that number again while we can. This is the Munroe Falls Paranormal Society. Their phone number 330-328-1215. If you have any questions about this or any of the programs that you've seen here on Family Focus, be sure to give us a call. My wonderful guests today, Eric Handy, Scott Wells, Robin Vaughn. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on the show.
Not a problem. We love coming on your show.
We have so much fun on the show, and boy, do we get scared every time. Thank you again for being our guest, and yes, we do want to know what happens when you come back from your
Okay,
trip.
well, we've got so much going on that we will have new evidence next time.
Wonderful, and again, thank you for joining us on Family Focus.